I'm going to be showing you my crochet fingerless gloves. They are a bit of the customizable pattern so that you can make the beginning cuff, the cuff that goes around your wrist. You can make it longer or shorter by adjusting the number of chains that we start with. And then for the fingers, when we work the finger cuff, again, you can make it long or short. I like a bit of a longer cuff by my fingers, so that way when I unfold it, it covers my fingers fully, but I can still fold it down so that way I have access to anything that I need. Or you can work it just so that it comes up to your first knuckles. Okay, so it's pretty much up to you how big of a cuff size you want to do. Now, what I'm going to be showing you with the cuff is actually the same thing that we're going to be doing with our boot cuff. So you're going to work the beginning of the boot cuff the same way that you work the cuff on our fingerless gloves. So first what we are going to do is we're going to start out by chaining 11, and then you're going to do 10 single crochets. And after that, you're going to work 24 rows total, so 23 more rows, that you are going to do through the back loop only. Now, if you look at the top of our stitches, you can see that they make a V, okay? There's a V over here, and you can either go underneath the stitches, okay, like a traditional single crochet, or you can go into the back loop or into the front loop. We're going to be working in the back loops. So what you would do is you'd get to the end of your row, you're going to chain 1 and you turn, and then the first stitch we go into is right underneath the hook, and we're going into the back loop. And then you would just bring up a loop like normal and continue crocheting as normal, working into the back loop. So let me take this one out, and then once you get to the desired length, for the boot cuffs, you're going to crochet your cuff so that it fits snugly around whichever part of your leg you would like it to fit. If you want it to go around your ankle, if you want it to come up to your knee or around your calf, you just crochet this until it gets to the desired length. You can also add a couple rows if the fingerless gloves you want a bit of a wider cuff, or if you're making it for a child, you can decrease a couple rows. So once we have the desired number of rows, we are going to crochet both edges together, and we're going to do this by slip stitching. So I chain 1 just so that I have a little bit of a room, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the back loop on the front and then the inside front loop on the back. So I'm going into both inside loops, and I bring it through those two and through the one on the hook. So again, I'm going through the inside loops of both sides. Okay. And I'm going to do this all the way across. So it's the back loop on the front and the front loop on the back, or you could just call them the inside loops. By doing it this way, it adds a bit of a ridge, so that way it blends in with the rest of your ridges. So that way you won't be able to find your seam. Okay. And I've got one more. Okay. Now we're going to work in a round. We'll be joining rounds and turning, and that gives us a pretty textured stitch as opposed just to a spiral. Okay. So the first thing we do is we're going to chain 1 again, and then we want to work 1 single crochet into each row end. We had 24 rows, so we're going to have 24 crochets. So you just kind of go in wherever you can, and then you can see this is one end row. I'll go in there, go under a stitch, and you just want to go around We want to end up with 24 stitches. Just keep going in wherever you can. So I've gone all the way across. I have my 24 stitches. We're going to slip stitch into the very first single crochet that we made. We're going to chain 1 and then we're going to turn. In row 2, you're just going to do single crochet in each of the stitches. Now we're back to going through both loops, so we actually go underneath the V's. We're not going to continue the glove in the back loops. We're going to work under both loops. And we're going to do this all the way across. Okay, I went across again, and again we join with a slip stitch, we chain 1 and we turn. Now this row we're going to increase up to 30 stitches. So the way that we increase is we do a single crochet as normal, and then we go back into that same stitch and work another single crochet. So we've done 2 singles in the same stitch. Then we're going to work a single crochet, 1 in each of the next 3, and then we do another double. So 1 single, 2 singles, and then we do 3, and we do this all the way across until we get up to 30 stitches, and then we join, we slip stitch and we join. Okay, I worked around, and then again we go in, we slip stitch to join, chain 1 and turn. You're going to continue working 30 stitches until you get up to row 13, and then you're going to work the thumb opening. So I just want to show you how to do the thumb opening. Okay, so let me go ahead. I'm going to do one more row to get us onto the right side, and I'll show you how to do the thumb opening. Okay, so your cuff will be much higher since you'll be going 13 rows. Okay, but I want to show you how to do the thumb opening. So what you're going to do is you are going to single crochet 2. So we do 1 and 2, and then we're going to chain 5. And then we are going to skip 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Into the 6th chain, we're going to single crochet, and then we continue single crocheting around the end of the row. Okay, so I have done that row. Now the next row, we're going to decrease back down to 24 stitches. So what you're going to do is we're going to start off with a decrease. So we insert our hook, pull up a loop, and then we insert our hook into the next stitch, pull up another loop. So there are 3 loops on the hook. Grab the yarn and go through all 3. And then we single crochet into the next 3. Okay. Then again a decrease. And then single crochet into the next 3. And then again our decrease, we go in, we pull up a loop, 2 loops on the hook, go in, pull up another loop, 3 loops on the hook, wrap around, and go across. You're going to continue doing this, decreasing 1, and then doing 3 singles. And when we get up to our chain, we're going to work the same things into the chain stitches. 1, 2, and 3. We do our decrease. 1, 2. Okay. And 3. Now we're in the chains. So I'm not going to work the decrease over the chains. I'm just going to go ahead and work into my 5 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'm going to work my last decrease. Okay. And then I'm going to join with a slip stitch, and then you chain 1 and turn. And then you're going to continue working rows 16 to 19. And then the way that we are going to do our cuff, okay, we are going to work so that we are on a right side row. So let me go ahead and crochet one more row. Okay. Okay, so your cuff will be much bigger, your hand part will be much longer. But just to show you how to work the cuff, the pattern says for the long cuff to chain 13. Okay, if you decide that you don't want that long of a cuff, so you want the smaller bit by your fingers as opposed to the larger one, all you would do is you would chain less stitches. Everything else is going to be the same. You would just, instead of chaining 13, you could chain 7 or 6. Okay, so what we're going to do is right from here, we're just going to chain 13. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and then we're going to work back into the stitches that we just made. I like working into the back bump. Okay, in the second chain from hook, I work into the back bump, and I'm going to go into each stitch, so I'm going to be making 12 single crochets. And I'm going to work down all the chains that I just made. Okay, so we have this little strip up here that's going to be the length of our cuff. So this is when you can kind of lay it over your fingers, see if it's as long as you want. If it's not long enough, take it out and chain more. If it's too long, take it out and chain less. We have to anchor it to the work. So we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch of the hand and then the next one. So we're doing 2 slip stitches to anchor it. And we're going to turn, but we are not going to chain 1. We're going to skip the very first one, and then we're going to single crochet in the back loop of the next 12. So now we're working again in the back loop, and we're working in the next 12 of our little cuff. Okay, so I've gotten to the end, and now we're going to turn again. We chain 1 and we turn. So you'll be chaining 1 at the top, but not at the bottom. And again, you're going to work back loops all the way down, and then slip stitch into the next 2 stitches, turn but don't chain, work all the way back up, then we turn and chain, and you're going to do this all the way around, and then you're going to join it just the same way that you joined the cuff, by crochet slip stitching into the inside loops of both work. Okay, next I'll show you how to add the thumb. So you're going to cut your yarn, and I'll be back in 1 second. The thumb is going to be worked the same way that we just worked the top cuff. So you're going to put a slip stitch on your hook, and then you're going to join it. I like to join it in a corner. So we're going to join with a slip stitch. And then again, you can adjust the size of the thumb. So you can, the pattern tells you that we're going to chain 7. You can chain more or you can chain less. 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we do the same thing where we're going to crochet 6 down the chain. And 6. and then we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch of the thumb opening and then the following stitch, and then we turn but don't chain, and then we're gonna single crochet 6 through the back loop. Okay, we chain 1 and then we work down, and you'll be using up all the stitches on the hand side and the chains that we did. So you're going to go all the way around, and then you join them by slip stitching through both inside loops, and then you will have a finished fingerless glove. They are interchangeable, so the directions for the second mitt is exactly the same as the first mitt, and I hope you enjoy them.